So before we proceed with understanding the core functions of DAX, so I'm talking about the calculate filter function and calculate table function, selected value function, and these kind of functions. Let us briefly discuss the context of evaluation context, because this is the building blocks for understanding the rest of the topics in DAX. Okay, this is a very important topic, the evaluation context. What is evaluation context? Can someone tell me? We discussed about evaluation context and set the initial filter context. Anyhow, don't worry. Okay, evaluation context refers to the set of filters that are applied to your DAX expression or your visual, right? Or your visual. Okay. So there are two different types of evaluation context. One is the row context, and then the filter context and query context. The query context is nothing but the output of both your row and filter context forms the basis for your query context. Okay. So what is evaluation context, right? So like I said, to understand the to understand master DAX functions, it is very much important to understand the evaluation context in DAX. So like I said here, the set of filters, the evaluation context is nothing but the set of filters applied to your DAX whenever it is calculated, and the environment in which a DAX formula is evaluated. That is what your evaluation. Either we can say this way, or this is the most apt definition for evaluation context, or the combination of these two. So evaluation context is nothing but the set of filters which you apply it on the mm, okay, which you apply it on the visuals, visuals or your queries, the set of filters basically, and also the environment in which a DAX formula is evaluated is called your evaluation context. Supposing you have created a measure by the name of sales amount, and on the right side of the equal sign, you can see that some function. This is a very common function, isn't it? It's an aggregation function. You want to find out the total sales. You find out the total sales in your data set, and then you store it here. Okay, in the case of measure, you just think that. Okay, so the next step is in your visual. We say you create a two table visual. You drag and drop the sales amount. It will show the total amount as 4,56,000. But along with the total sales amount, the sales amount, when when you drag and drop a text column, what will happen? It gives you the breakdown of the total sales, or by, in this case, a location, total breakdown of the total sales by category. I just show you one more time. One second, because most of you confirmed with me that you already went through my videos. Good. And here I just click on the table visual. I'm going to create another. I'm going to have another table visual. So now here, the simple example is I just go here. Yeah, I'll take the sales fact table. So this is a implicit measure. There are two types of measure: implicit measure and explicit measure. By default, when you use any numeric column, okay, so you can see the along with the numeric column, you will find the sigma notation. It tells us it's an implicit measure. So what do you mean by implicit measure? You don't have to write an explicit measure to calculate the total sales or total or sum on the numeric column. The default aggregation function was sum function. And okay, so look here. I just drop the same column here also. I just select these two visuals. I'm going to increase the font size. I should display for both the visuals for table visual. Okay, now I am able to increase the font size. So both the table visual shows the total sales amount. The moment when you drag and drop the sales amount, not only sales, even if you drag and drop any numeric column, it gives you a single number, which means that, for example, if I drag and drop quantity, it gives me the total units sold. And the same thing if I drop here, both the table visual, it shows the same thing. But if I drop an additional column, a text column along with this, let me see if category. Okay, if I drop the category here, okay. Now I want to change the order of the column. I want to move the category column as the first columns. For that, I just see, look here, I selected this visual. Now you can see the field called columns. For table, the field is columns, right? So here I just move this category column up, and quantity column, I want to make it the second column. Good. Here the category. Okay. And the next one is I'm going to use some product dimension here. Okay. Here the product name. I just move this up. Quantity, if I move this up, the quantity will become a second column. Good. So initially, we have noticed that when I dropped both the quantity as well as the sales amount column, you were able to see only these two values, 2755, 456, 149, right? Just for our reference, I just copy paste this. Okay, better. I should have used that column. Okay. Here I just remove the product name. This is what we saw it initially in both the table, isn't it? The total quantity and total sales in both the visual, we saw that. But the moment when I dropped the text column along with these two numeric column, what happened? It gave me a breakdown of the category, right? The sales and quantity breakdown by category, it gives me automatically. Did I write any DAX function? Nothing. Did I write any DAX function? Nothing. So in that case, the filtering is happening automatically behind the scene. That is possible. So how the breakup is possible? How it gives me the breakup automatically? What is the basis for that? Can someone tell me? And majority of almost 90% of you told me that you watched my video, right? What is the, the how it is happening, the breakdown? The moment when I drop a text column, how it is giving me, because of the relationship. Excellent, Yomani, right? Because of the relationship, it is giving me the breakdown. All right. So look here. The if I go to the model view, and if you see here and look here, this is my sales fact table, and then you the product dimension. Look here, one to many relationship, and then the category also having one to many, but it is not having the direct relationship. But still, the category dimension can filter this table via the product dimension table. Fine. You have defined the relationship already. Since you have defined the relationship, it gives you the breakdown as soon as you drop a text column along with the numeric column. In this case, the text column is category and product name. But when the total values are same, remain same in both the visual. Only if you see the row by row comparison, right? If you do the row by row comparison, it is not same. Okay, for the sake of comparison, I just use the location name. The location name is there already. Good. I just move this up. Okay, Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai. I don't know why the location name is not having. Okay, okay. Location comes from where? That is from location. Okay, it is there in this table itself. Okay, the location. Okay, later we will have the customer name because less number of all records in it. It will be good. This is just for our learning purpose. Okay. So it gives me the breakdown. Right. So did I write any DAX function to give the breakdown? No, right? So this is possible because these tables have relationship. We have created a relationship between the tables, right? Because of which it gives me the breakdown automatically without writing any DAX functions or measures, DAX queries. Okay. In this case, of each row, we get different values through the total sales value and the quantity. So how do we get different values on each row? That is because of the evaluation context, the environment in which the DAX formula is evaluated. Okay. So in this case, the environment is based on for the customer name. It gives me the breakdown, breakdown of sales, breakdown of total sales by customer name. It gives me automatically. In this case, the environment is the customer name, right? So based on the text value, when you drop it along with the numeric column, it the row by row value gets changed. Here I dropped the customer name. So when you see the row by row value, obviously the customer total purchase of each customer is different from total sales we made in each category. Okay, a single category itself, many customer would have purchased. So obviously the row by row will not be same, but it takes the sales amount, total sales amount as a basis. But behind the scene, what is happening is this is what is happening. This is what is happening. Let's say this is your location name dimension table. So in that case, since you have created a one-to-many relationship, it goes to the first record and second record, third record. For example, in the case of Hyderabad, it propagates the value Hyderabad to your sales fact table, and only Hyderabad related records got grouped, filtered, and then it applies the sum on the sales amount column. It gives you the total sales on Hyderabad. Okay. So behind the scene, that is what is happening. Here in this case, what happens? It goes to the first category, and then in the sales fact table, it groups all the beverages related data set, and then it applies sum on these two columns because we have used two columns here, and total units sold in beverages, total units in sales, and then it goes to the second record, dairy, and dairy will be sent to your dairy will be sent to your fact table, and then it groups all the dairy related data, records, transactions, and then it applies the sum on these two columns. And then similarly the same thing is happening here. So obviously this table, with this we are able to understand. No, okay, this is not working. So this one comes from the customer, the category dimension table. These two are coming from the same table, sales fact table, and this one comes from the customer dimension table. And remaining two columns are coming from your sales fact table. So it depends on the context, depends on the environment. The DAX is evaluated. So in this case, the implicit measure, which is nothing but your total sales amount and total quantity, right? It is getting evaluated based on the environment, right? It gives me the breakdown based on the environment. So this is called your evaluation context. Again, I'll just explain the same thing which we discussed. Look here, the evaluation context. As part of this, we have two different contexts out there: the row context and filter context. You can combine both the context also. Along with the row context, we can have the filter context also. And but if you look at the internet, right, you can see three types of context as part of evaluation context: the row context and filter context and query context. Row context, when you create a calculator column, it performs row by row operation. Filter context is something like you want to filter something explicitly based on some condition, you want to filter it. That is your filter context. Okay. Uh, but what is query context? What is query context? Query context is nothing but the output of your the DAX query, right? Let's say in your DAX query you have used the row context along with filter context. So that is the one is your query context. The query context, the final context. Okay, in your DAX query, you are using only filter context. Then your query context will be filter context. When you are using the combination of these two, that is the one form the basis for your query context. Okay. So what is row context? What is row context? When you create a calculator column, that creates a row context automatically. Okay, we don't have to do it explicitly. And row context is evaluated whenever an expression iterates. So this is what I discussed a while back. Row context exists in a calculator column or iterating DAX functions. What are the iterating DAX functions? How many of you can someone tell me what is the iterative DAX function? Give me one example, one or two. Very good, right? Very good. The answers are. It seems that most of you are preparing well. Very good. But however, those of you yet to start, watch my videos, please, and I can see that very good. So the average x and count x and average ax, the function that ends with x are called your iterating function. Very good. So row context exists in a calculator column and iterating DAX functions also. Right. Sum x function performs the row by row operation. Doesn't mean only the calculator column does the row context. Even the sum x function, average x function, it is doing the row by row operation. Even in the case of filter function, you have something called filter function. Yes, count x, very good. So it does the row by row operation. Row context does not propagate through relationship automatically. Yes, this is the one you need to remember it. Okay, the row context will not happen, because of the relationship that you created automatically. For example, you want to bring in the cost price from a product dimension table, and then you want to perform row by row operation. Let's the cost price is not available in the fact table. In that case, you need to use the lookup value function or so. Okay. In that case, you need to do a lookup on the product dimension table to bring um, the cost price to your fact table, multiply the cost price into your quantity. That is the one will give you the cost of goods sold. So in that kind of situation, the row context does not propagate through relationship automatically. Okay. And what is the so the row context iterates the table, but it does not do the filter. Whereas the filter context, it applies the filter, but it does not iterate the table. Which one? The filter context. That is the difference between row and filter context. The filter context is nothing but the set of filters applied to a data model. One or more applied in a calculation to determine value can be applied using visual syntax. See, this is the one you need to understand very clearly. If somebody says a filter context is nothing but set of filters, what are the sources for filters to your visuals? For example, I have the column chart. In the column chart, I just go here, or the table visual. So what are the default filters here? What is the default filter here? Yes, the page filters, slicers, report filters, and you can apply the filter to your visual based on slicers and report filters, page filters. Yeah, filters pane and slicers you can apply it. Apart from this, you can use the DAX function to apply the filter. What are the default filters? Can someone tell me what is the default filter? That is what your initial filter context. So what is initial filter context? It is nothing but the default set of filters that are applied to your data set when a report or visual is loaded. In this case, the visual is loaded with the filter context, right? So in this case, the default filter comes from row. Okay, out of this total sales, how much amount spent by Chris in total? Let's say this is the last 1 year or 6 month data. Out of the total sales, Chris spent this much. Hemel spent this much. So the filter comes from the row level and column level also. But in this case, we have only row because in the table visual, we can see only row, right? Rows and column selection. Very good. Okay. That is what your initial filter. But the filter context, this is nothing but the set of filters like you mentioned. Yes, for table level, sorry, the visual level filter, you can do it, and then slicers, and one or more applied in a calculation to determine a value can be applied using visuals and DAX. What do you mean by visuals? Look here, by default, the visuals in Power BI are interactive, which means, for example, if I select the dairy, it shows only the dairy related sales, right? The customers, right? The customers, those purchased in dairy category. When I click on the dry fruits, in dry fruits, which customers? Look here, in this case, six customers, whereas in the case of beverages, if I see, yeah, almost one second, yeah, beverages, no, beverages, look here, only two customers purchased, beverages related products in my shop. So when you click on any specific value in a visual, also it is applying the filter, right? And how do I check that one? If just above the visual, if you click on it here, so you can see nothing is there. And if you click on it here, and you don't see anything here. And for example, if I click on dry fruits, or this, if I select frozen fruits, and if I go here, look here, personal care category. Okay, yeah, personal care, I selected it here. For example, if I select frozen foods, and if I go and click on this one, it is not showing anything. One second. Or if you select anything here, right? Visual level filters. This is called cross filter. Okay, better I will select the. I will click on the this one column chart here also, so that we can make out the difference quickly. And if I click on the dairy category, okay, I just clicked on dairy category. It is doing the cross highlighting. What is the difference between cross highlighting and cross filtering? We discussed as per data visualization, right? I just did the cross highlighting. I just selected this visual. And then if I go and see it here, dairy category, look here, the filter got applied based on so visual level filter. This is what your visual level. For example, if I selected everything here, right? And then if I go here, nothing is there. Now everything is displayed. If I select any specific value here, that one will get highlighted. The corresponding value in other visual will also get highlighted. The rest of the values in the visuals will get dimmed. That is what cross highlighting. But when you do the cross highlighting, you can see the filter got applied here. So by default, the visuals are interactive. With this, you are able to understand. So the visual level also filter is happening. You can apply the filter by visuals. Slicer is also visual. Using the slicer visual also, you can apply the filter. That is what these statements is. You can apply the filter. These are the sources of filters. Okay, the set of applied to data model before evaluation of the DAX expression. Suppose I want to find out the total sales. It will not go and do the sum of sales blindly. It goes and checks what are the filters that you use in your DAX query. Okay, based on which first it evaluates the filter context, and then only it evaluates your expression. Okay, it really makes sense, isn't it? In the interest of freshers, I just see this one. Look here, in your data set, you have millions, too many volume. Let's say you have 100 billion records are there. Okay, and you know very well in Mumbai, you recently started your business. In Mumbai, the transaction is very less. Let's say hardly 1 million transactions happen in Mumbai. Mumbai. Okay. So in that case, in your DAX query, if you want to find out the total sales on Mumbai, ideally, if you apply the filter on this data set, and then if you select only the Mumbai related transaction, and on top of that, if you find out the total sales, it makes sense. Instead, if you do the sum of sales on the 100 billion record, and then if you filter only the Mumbai related data, it doesn't make sense, isn't it? So before it evaluates the expression, in this case, sum of sales, it evaluates the um, it applies the filters first, okay, and then it evaluates the expression. First thing is the filter comes into picture, and then only it is evaluating the expression. It makes more sense. One or more applied in a calculation to determine. So you can apply more than one filter also. It depends on your reporting requirement and can be applied using visuals and DAX. Like I have shown you, by default, the visuals are interactive in Power BI. Using visuals also you can apply filter, or slicer is also a visual using which you can apply the filter. Using DAX function also you can apply the filter. So these are the source of filter. Okay, the default set of filters are your row selection, column selection, and in the case of in the case of matrix visual, right, row and column data fields, or even the case of table also, it is happening the same way. For example, I just change it to the matrix so that we can have the columns also here. In this case, I just go and put the yeah here. In this case, I just put the category here. So I wanted to know the breakdown of sales by category by customer, because we sell products across various categories. And if you see here, look here what happened in this case. Here, for example, Hemel, how many units he purchased in dairy in dairy category. So row level and column level also filtering is happening here. For example, if I remove the category here, it gives me the simplified version. How much money spent by Chris in my retail store and how many units he bought it. Fine. It gives me the breakdown row level. It gives me the filter. The filter comes from the row level. And if I wanted to, know the breakdown by sales and quantity breakdown by category by customer, if I drop the category column here, in this case, the filter comes from a row as well as the column, right? So in the dairy category, in the beverages, how many units purchased by John, how much money is spent. So the beverages category, John, how much is spent, how many units he purchased, and how much money is spent. So the column and row level filter is coming here. That is what it says in matrix usual based on row and column data fields. It gives the filter automatically. Very good. Did I write any DAX function? Simply I dragged and dropped it. The filter is coming automatically here. So that is what this one says. Row selection, column selection. You can select any specific column. Row selection also you can do it. In that kind of situation also the filtering is happening. And filter selection. We know the filter pane. In the filter pane also you can apply the filter slicer, and DAX also you can apply the filters. And this is what the initial filter context. For example, for this highlighted value, right? So in this case, the 7,986 value is highlighted in red in this matrix. So now what is the initial filter context for this particular cell? Obviously, out of the total sales, how much total sales how much revenue we generated in Hyderabad. So for this value, the filter is coming from here. Okay, in the location name Hyderabad, how much in total the revenue or the sales we made? And if you go to Pune, how much total sales we made in Pune out of the total sales? Arsha, are you able to understand? Arsha and Raja and Soumya, are you able to understand? Because you did not attend the last session, right? So this is what is happening. So if somebody is asking what is the initial filter context, this is the initial, the highlighted values. 7,986 has a filter context for the city Hyderabad. So here, just give me a second. Give me a second. I mistakenly pressed some key. The keyboard. Okay. So now we can see that the initial filter context in these cases. So in this case, the Hyderabad, right? The initial filter context for the highlighted cell is only coming from the rows in the matrix, and the location is Hyderabad in this case. Understood, right? So what is the basis for this? This is a separate table location name. You have a separate table called location name. Sorry, location dimension. This column comes from your location dimension, and then the sales amount comes from your sales fact table. The sales amount, right? This one is available there in your look here. So this is a you have a location dimension table. In this table, you have only two columns: the location key and location name, and you have the sales fact table. Both the table you have the common key column by the name of location. Here also a location key column is available. Here also you have location key, but in this table, the location key is a primary key. Here you cannot have the duplicate values. Okay, you have created a one-to-many relationship. This is one side, and look here, this is one side, right? Location dimension. These are fact sales, and this is a one-to-many relationship. Because in this table, for each city, you have only one unique key is available, right? You don't have the same key repeated more than once. Whereas here, because it's a transaction table, obviously the same city, multiple sales would have multiple times the same location, the sales would have happened. Hence, the location key can be repeated multiple times. So one to many relationship. Okay. So you have created the relationship one to many. So what is happening behind the scene is, in the case of Hyderabad, when it comes to Hyderabad, so it propagates this value Hyderabad to your sales fact table. The Hyderabad value will be the location key will be sent to your fact table, and then it groups all the Hyderabad related record, and then it applies the sum on the sales amount column, sum of sales amount, and then it gives me everything in a single record. So in Hyderabad, in total, how much sales we made. Don't give me the breakdown or transaction level data. You just give me the sum of sales amount. So when I drag and drop the sales amount into visual, what is happening? It gives me the sum, right? 7,986. Okay, but in the case of Hyderabad, this is we are talking here. In this case, the filtering is happening row by row. This is the filter. So this is what is happening here. Look here, Hyderabad, how much? Similarly, when it goes to it skips to the next record. Once the aggregation has been done, it gives me in the matrix visual or table visual, it gives me the total here. And then it goes to the next record, Pune, and Pune will get grouped. All the Pune record will get grouped, and then it applies the sum on the total sales amount. Sorry, sales amount. This gives me the total sales in how much total sales we made in Hyderabad, Pune. It's all happening automatically behind the scene in Power BI. But here, so that is what is happening here. Okay, 7,000. Similarly, when it goes to the Kolkata, it propagates the value Kolkata, here KOL, right? It propagates the value KOL to this one. All the Kolkata transactions will get grouped, and then it applies the sum on the sales amount or quantity and gives me the total sales. It's all happening automatically because of the relationship. This is the advantage of creating the relationship. This is one of the important aspect of creating the relationship between the tables. Okay, now what is the initial filter context for this particular cell? What is the initial filter context for this particular cell? What is the initial filter context? The filter is coming from Hyderabad and dairy, right? So this is your location table and this is your category table. Okay, in Hyderabad, dairy category, what is the total sales we made out of this overall sales, right? So Hyderabad and dairy, so that is the one. The highlighted cell showing as a filter context for the location Hyderabad and the product category of dairy. Right? Good. So what is the initial filter? So now I'm using the slicer here. What is the initial filter context? This particular cell. See, if I give you an Excel sheet, if I ask you what is the total sales you made in Bangalore in ice cream category, what is the answer? How will you compute it? So the filter is coming from location Bangalore, and then the category ice cream. Are you all please with me? Are you all with me or not? Please concentrate here. If you don't concentrate, that means you're not answering. If you don't answer it, you're not concentrating here. How about Leela, Soumya, and Yamini? So are you able to understand here? What is the what is the answer here? Okay, so here the location name is Bangalore, and the category is ice cream. In addition to that, I have the filter right comes from slicer also, slicer visual August. In August month, give me the total sales in Bangalore. The highlighted cell showing 200 as a filter context for the location Bangalore, and the where the category or the product is ice cream and the month is August. Behind the scene, this is what is happening. You have product table, the calendar table, and location dimension table. So you want to find out the total sales you made in Bangalore in August month for the ice cream. So it goes the product dimension table. It filters only the ice cream data. Okay, in this table you have only ice cream, and here you have August month, and it will have only one record here. Okay, it applies the filter here, and then these filtered values will be sent here. So the combination of all the three, August, Bangalore, ice cream, it groups all the records, all the transactions that we made it in August month in Bangalore for the ice cream product, and then it applies the sum. That is how you get this one. Okay. So what do you mean by filter context in DAX? How many types of filter contexts are there? We know the filter context is part of your evaluation context. When we are applying filters on the set of values of columns or tables using dashboard, this is known as filter context. How many types of filter contexts are there? Right, so different types of filter context. Like we can apply the filter row level, column level, all the things you can do it, right? Yeah. Okay. In a tax, which one will execute first, filter context or row context? Filter context will apply first. Are you able to follow me or not? So what is filter, right? First, logically, it has, you take any programming language, even Oracle or the SQL server, it first apply the filter smartly, and then only it does the row context or it values the expression. Okay. Filter context applies on top of other contexts such as row context or query context. Okay. Next one is what is the difference between evaluation context and filter? Filter context is a type of your evaluation context. What is applied as part of filter context? These are all the things already we discussed. And I'm going to skip this one. Query context. The combination of row and filters create a final query of your DAX. So not necessarily the combination of these two. Some situations you don't have to use the row context, only filter context. In that case, the final query is your filter only, right? So the of your query context. Okay. Is it possible to use filter context along with the row context? Yes, that is possible. The classic example is, let's say in your measure, you can use sumx function to perform row by row operation. In the sumx function, also you can use a filter. You can use the filtering condition. Like you can use a filter function. The filter function also returns a table. The sumx function, since it's being a iterative function, the first argument is supposed to be table. Look here, I just write it here. You have this sumx function. Sumx is an iterating function because this function ends with x. Hence, it performs the row by row operation, row context. And here you want to use a filter function. The first argument of your any iterating function is your table. But here, what I do is I'm using a filter function. uh, Filter function, the first argument is also the table, okay, table name. For example, sales fact, comma, city equal to Hyderabad, okay, Hyderabad. So in this case, what happens, since you are using the sum x function, and again, let's say you are using the sales amount. So what happens is, for Hyderabad city, for example, okay, in the Hyderabad city, how much sales we made. Okay, in this case, what happens, or you want to find out something like you want to evaluate in quantity into price. Okay, so it goes row by row and it evaluates this expression for this city alone. Okay, it takes a subset of the data, Hyderabad records. In that Hyderabad records transactions, it takes the quantity column and it takes the product of these two columns. Okay, and then it gives the sum on this one. So here the filter context is this one, and then the row context is this one. Row by row, it evaluates that, and at the same time it applies the filter, right? It first applies the filter context, it performs the row context. So this is an example for having the combination of these two contexts in a single DAX query. Filter context filters the data, it does not iterate, and the row context iterates the table, but it does not filter. But we can have the combination of these two in a single measure, like I mentioned, sum x function. Okay. So these are the filter functions. This is very important, the filter functions.